All right, welcome to Stocks and Squats. My name is Jermaine Russell, and I wanted to go over some of this live trading that I'm doing right now, so you can see what I'm actually looking at, and kind of get a sense of how the stock market actually moves on a regular day. If this is your first time seeing any of my videos, please like or subscribe to my channel. Gives me an idea of what you're looking at and what I can do to really help the conversation move forward, as we're all trying to not only just profit from the stock market, but actually understand its direction and where it's going. So before I get started, I typically do some type of video of the stocks that I traded the previous week. I haven't done that for the week of June 8th to June 12th. I will be doing that sometime probably during the lunch hour. Um, with a lot going on this past week, or past weekend, I wasn't able to get an opportunity to do it. So I will make sure that I have that done today. But with that being said, I just want to kind of look at the overall market in itself and look at the overall indices. Um, we can look at each. It's red all around, right? There's nothing else that you can really say about that. We have the Dow Jones, where the 30 of the most top respected, well respected companies are in the red. Everything is in the red. Your infotech, the healthcare, the consumer staples, all that stuff. Everybody's in the red. And it just has a lot to do with how the current market is going right now. The current market, whether it's economic or social, the state of affairs is pretty sad. And because of that, we can say that the impetus of it all was the coronavirus. But regardless, we still can't use that as an excuse. We know that that is just one layer of the unveiling of all these stocks that have been so frothy, not even overvalued, but just frothy over time. So so for the past 3 months, 2 or 3 months, the stocks have been going up higher, and we're bound to have another crash, or at least a flash crash. I don't, whatever type of technical, you know, whatever type of technical definition that wants to be given for what it has been happening for the past couple of days, where the market has been coming down. So, with that being said, I want to get in with IMRN. This is a stock that I was looking at last week, and like I said, I will have this as part of my what are the stocks that I traded last week video. But particularly, I had this on watch because of how strong it ran up. Right, it ran up pretty wild. It went from it gapped up actually from the twos, and it went all the way up to $28. Um, why did it go up so high? A lot of it could have been because of the amount of volume that was there, which was the case. It was trading 75 million on the ninth, which was a Tuesday, and when it went up so high like that, stocks who move like this, stocks who do have this type of movement, not only will create a volatility halt, but will also create a surge in price. And we've seen that with other stocks, as analysts who have been in the market longer than I have spoken about Hertz and how they're a bankrupt company, but people were trying to buy it, and it caused a price spike. Other stocks that were doing something similar, I think it was not just Hertz, but there was it Chesapeake Energy. Chesapeake Energy was one that was also trying to go into bankruptcy, and they also had a price surge. So you have all these stocks that are being traded by retail traders, and it's causing some type of spike to happen. So with this company, IMRN, I wasn't even anticipating getting into this stock at all. Well, now I was anticipating getting into it, but I anticipated, like, I thought I canceled my order. My order wasn't canceled. The stock went into a halt. It went into a halt coming up right here, right after the market opened. So once the market opened and it started to spike. It went from this $9 area, maybe 8.80, all the way up to 11, and it's been finding resistance at 11 ever since. And once it was starting to run up, it ran up, and the stock got halted just because of the sheer amount of volume that was coming in. Now I know I mentioned how many shares was traded on last week Tuesday at 75 million. Now, mind you, this is a low float stock. This is a stock that only has a available amount of shares of 4.4 million shares, right? No, because it has only that small amount of shares, it has it has the opportunity to spike higher, and that's what it did. It spiked a whole lot higher at that time. So as I got as as I got in, which I'm still mad that I thought my order was canceled. It put me in at $10.65, right? So as I don't know why it's not showing up on the actual chart. I think a swim has been acting a lot slow today, and it could be just because of the sheer amount of activity that's been happening. But I've been getting congestion on this since the market is open all day for the past hour, right? So with this, now that I'm in it, and like I said, it would have shown me being here. Let me see if maybe I change. Nope, it still doesn't show. Maybe it will show at some point or another. But essentially, when I got in, it put me in here. And like I said, I thought I canceled it prior to the market opening. I mean, prior to the halt, reopening or closing. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. Uh, but once the halt was over, I was placed in on the trade, and the stock continued to go down farther. Not something that I wanted at all. I really wanted to get in. I said if I get in on this trade, I really wanted to get in at this 970 area. This is why you really shouldn't chase, because this 970 showed that it was a breakout area. Even though it popped up here during once the market opened, if we go back to Friday, right here, this 970 area was still a breakdown area where the stock came to break down, and then once it popped back up at that same area where the breakout area is, and then it tried it again before eventually failing. So, with that being said, today, it had some movement, and it had great movement actually before it came back down during that halt, and then it's been trading around this VWAP. And the reason why I wanted to harp a little bit more about this stock particularly is because the VWAP does play a critical role in a lot of the stock's movement. A stock could move in the direction that you want it to move, based off the VWAP. And if the VWAP starts to have any of the EMAs, the crossover, whether it's this green line, which is the 50 EMA, the 100 EMA, or the 200 EMA, the stock could potentially go higher, which is what I anticipate here. I anticipate this stock going higher because once it starts to pull back, it's not only pulling back to to gather itself or to find some type of composure because of all that movement before, but it is also trying to get the prices of these EMAs to cross over the VWAP, if that makes kind of sense, if that makes any sense right there. So when I will, I need to show some charts that actually kind of show you this or kind of give you some identification with pullbacks. Let me see, do I have any on tap? Maybe I have one here with APT. APT was a stock that I was in on prior to. It's been doing some funky movement, so I'm not in it right now. But as I'm seeing, the market conditions are leaning back towards coronavirus drugs, coronavirus biotech, healthcare a little bit. It's starting to go back there. But this is a biotech stock, APT. I'll go in a little bit more in depth, but just for the sake of what I was referring to when it comes to the EMAs crossing over the VWAP. As we can see here, we have the 50 and the 100 EMA. that's coming closer to the VWAP, and you see that it's trading a little bit higher. So as this happens, that 200 EMA is really the key component of it all, because once that 200 crosses over the VWAP, then the stock will exponentially go higher. And so that's what I want to see with IMRN. No, yes, I'm not. I'm not up like I would like to. Like I said, they put me in at 1065, the order price that I originally had before the halt happened. But if any best case scenario were to occur, that would be the best case scenario. The best case scenario would be that this stock would go higher because the EMAs cross over the VWAP, and the closer that you get in at that 200 EMA price, gives you a better chance to lessen the amount of risk that is involved, because now that you're in that EMA 200 price, you are now seeing a different level of support. So that level of support really carries you into allowing the price to go a little bit higher. And so, hopefully that is what will happen with this stock here. As we look at the hour chart, we see on the hour, look at this. This is a nice spike throughout the whole day, and throughout the whole day on that Tuesday. And then once it found its overboughtness, it pulled all the way back, obviously. It tried it again. Thank you. My prices did come in. So it tried it again. And this is where I bought in, and I'll be going over this because I severely messed up here. But I bought, 50 shares at $12. And I bought another 100 shares. I think it was somewhere around the $9 area. So I pulled my price back, but I pulled it back, I think, to about $11. $11 a share. That was my cost basis, and then I had to sell because it was just going to go down further, and it had me at that eight. I sold at $8.62. So now I'm back in. I bought 50 shares. With that 50 shares, I said, you know what? That was my. Let's try it out. Let's see where it does again, because I do like the I do like the chart. I do like the direction that it's going, particularly right now. When I bought in back here, it was already too late. The move already happened. I didn't get in early enough to really appreciate this move. So now I'm back in, knowing that, hey, something, you saw what could have happened in a positive direction for the trade. So let's see if we can really execute it now. And now, as you can see, it's trying to find some upside. I'm not sure if it's going to find it all the way through. Hopefully, well, not at this hour. I'm not sure if it's going to find it at the 11 hour. I'm not sure if it's going. And typically, if a stock does move, past 10%, it will find more movement during the lunch hour. So I hope that it finds more movement in the lunch hour. But if it doesn't, I will see what I can do from there, because right now, as we look even at the notes, we know that they're coming out with earnings soon. Let's look at their SEC filing. All right, so SEC. Where are we? Let's go here. We've got IMRN. And typically I already have this up, but like I said, I had to restart my computer just to figure out what was going on with the stock itself, or with the trading platform, because my trading platform has been acting a little bit slow. But see, when you go into the SEC filings and you see the 6K form is just a form to identify a foreign private investor. I think it was, yeah, no, report of foreign private issuer. So they are issuing, what is being issued here? That there's a change of director in the interest notice. So it's saying that this report 6K shall not be deemed to be filed for purposes of the SEC. Let's go a little bit deeper. So the director is Daniel Pollock, right? And this was the notice. The last notice was back last year around the same time. And nature of indirect interest. So they are noting some number of securities held prior to the change. So there was a change of their shares. So apparently they had a direct disposal. So they got rid of about 100,000 shares of their direct amount. So that leaves them probably more of 274,000 shares right here, which it says it right here. So there was a change in the director, and since this is an Australian-based company, this is the form that they would have to use for the SEC to show that they are, being in compliance, and they're making, they're notifying the SEC of what they're doing. Now, why did he sell these shares? I'm not 100% sure. This is why, typically you could just go to Twitter and type in something on Twitter to see what is really going on with the activity here. Yes, I tend to go back and forth to see what's happening. One of those, COCP. This was another stock that I was holding over the weekend. It was finding weakness in the pre-market, and I sold it. And we've seen what it's doing now. It actually kind of bounced back up, but we'll the next video. Where I analyze the trades that I made prior to. So let's go to IMRN. What are people saying on Twitter about this stock? Let's go to the latest comments. There's probably not a lot just because it's at ARD, American Deposit Receipt, and sometimes you don't really get a lot of customers. You don't get a lot of Twitter people that will say anything about ARDs. See, someone said that they bailed for a loss here, which is fine. It probably is a pump and dump scheme. Seem like they're taking full advantage of chasers. Yep, they got me on that one. JFIN, I did pretty well on that one. People looking for the next big runner now getting slammed, and people are looking for runners. It's probably because it's low floats. People are looking for low floats to do this. So hold on. EDIS. I just saw that EDSA. They had a nasty pullback, but it was still starting to move, and we see that NETE and JFIN is also related with this guy or this person, whoever they are. So I'm not really seeing a whole lot on what people are thinking about that. Yeah, a lot of people are not. I'm not really getting a whole lot. Some people probably made some money off of this. Obviously, right? There's always going to be someone make something, but this is part of their watch list. So I'm not mad that they have these two stocks. DGLY is another one. So when you come to, yes, it wants to run. So at least someone else is seeing that it wants to run, but just that overhead resistance. Let's go to Yahoo real quick and see Yahoo Finance IMRN. You need to see the notes as far as like the short available shares, because I feel like it's not the same on every platform. So I just want to make sure you do that thing. And we're seeing that analysis that is open, and the average 1.6 million is trading a little bit higher than that, which is something that I anticipated. That it would trade a little bit higher. Let's go to the stats. And the stats, it is saying, and maybe I could have bought 100 more shares to kind of level out what I did buy last week when it was in the 990s. But I don't like buying pullbacks like that. I usually don't buy back into losers like that. I am trying something a little slightly different. See, and now now my my laptop. There we go. I was about to say my internet is running a little slow now, but you can see the average 3 month is 1.6, and then this is why we know that this stock should be running because it has 16 point in the past days as the float is 3.2. But I wanted to look at shortable shares, and essentially the short float, the percentage is not registered here, um, is which is another one that I really like, particularly because of the news. It says it's point 0.1, so 0.10%. So that typically could just say it's just a 1-to-1 ratio on shares to buy versus shares to sell. Could say that, I guess. Um, just as a mind, that's something just to remind yourself that hey, this stock could do or could not do. Um, in the opposite direction. It could go higher, it could go lower, but the exchange is pretty much just 1-to-1. See what else it has available on there. Nope, and everything else is just pretty much older. Foreign private issuer. Let's see if there's an who else, other than the director is. Oh, U.S. Defense request FDA meeting. So, the FDA is meeting. No, I said the FDA is meeting. The DoD, the Naval Medical Research Center, requests a meeting with the FDA for guidance on two phase 2 trials to prevent acute infectious diarrhea. Right. So we're looking at this company. It's a biopharmaceutical company, IMRN, commercializing an oral immunotherapeutics for the prevention and treatment of gut-mediated pathogens. Right. So, being that I am in the food and safety sector, when it comes to food protection, this is something that I would definitely find interest in. I really wish I did a little bit more research here, just because it would have helped me out just a little bit more. But that's fine. It is what it is. I did come back to the chart because I wanted to see where we're at, since we're at the 11 a.m. hour. Um, let's see something real quick. I just wanted to double check on something. Okay, but yep. So back to this, we said that the FDA on May 26th issued guidance explaining how the coronavirus disease and public health emergency is impacting the conduct of formal meetings and its review of certain. Right, so we know a user fee funded application. The FDA will focus on its resources on applications and submissions related to COVID and other life threatening conditions. So there's an investigational new drug application, 30-day safety reviews in response to other important safety issues that may emerge during this investigation. New drug development, yeah. So they planned what information package, which is planned to be submitted on the 10th. Right, though the 10th was on Wednesday, and following the FDA guidance and feedback, the NMRC plans to file with NMRC again, Navy Medical Research Center, plans to file an investigative new drug application later this year for the phase 2. So we do know that the Department of Defense is working with Australia with this drug in itself. So, you know, particularly, it still did not give a date and when they would meet, but they did give some guidance after submitting an application. So we know that something is developing here. I'm not 100% sure what, but I figured that since they're working with trying to prevent Campylobacter and E. coli with these new drugs, that these two new drugs, that there will be a little bit more. So I want to investigate this just a little bit more so I have a lot more clarity as to what is being developed here and what the conversation is about. Because I do kind of see this going in some type of positive direction just based on that. But I do know that they have some type of earnings coming about as well. So, and I am not seeing that just because I know the PE ratio is lower than the actual benchmark for the industry itself. So people are saying that it is overvalued, but I do want to know what they're doing, not only with the Department of Defense, but we see the COVID, what they're doing with their actual drugs and the treatment when it comes to the patients that they're using or the subjects that they're using. It seems like the study's principal investigator from Emory University School of Medicine closed the study earlier this year with only 22 subjects out of 44 completed the study protocol. The study findings were reported as negative. There was no substantial change in ALT, primary study endpoint in the active arm of this study. So they were using a placebo, and they were using the drug, and apparently stuff didn't happen, right? They didn't get the results that they wanted, so they closed the actual study. So we'll see if the Department of Defense is going to continue wanting to do business with IMRN. If not, what they do plan on doing with them throughout the first half of next year. So we will see. But right now, as we look at the stock itself, we see that it is holding this $10-$30 area. I don't know if what it wants to do, but I know that it's holding over the VWAP. So that part is to me. We have the 50 EMA crossing over the VWAP. So if anything, the biggest thing that it's facing right now is resistance at 1040, maybe 1035. So hopefully this longer than typical analysis is happening, but this is what happens during the actual trading day. You want to research the stock, you want to know what is doing, who they're involved with, what their statistics are saying, and what would be a good entry price for you, because I only have a small portion of shares here, so I'm not really incredibly too hurt by this, but I do want to see it go a little bit higher as it pulls back now, right? And it's going to pull back to try to bring this 200 EMA or 100 EMA over, and then hopefully the 200 would follow. So yeah, that's it for now. We'll come back and review this later on, probably later on in the week. I do want to get started on the videos from the trades that I made last week. So with that being said, have a good trading day. It is still Monday, and if you haven't, please click the like button and subscribe to my videos, to my video channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please add it onto the comment box below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next one.